I will kill you.
Do 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 do. Boom boom boom. I want my baby to be back. Baby. She's in the trenches of Iraq.
Spray. Relief. You two take care of labor.
Only intended for a plane capsule.
You don't want to die of cold. Toll free.
All right, Doug, you want to play us in?
Play it in.
Play it in.
Play it in.
Sure.
There we go.
It's going to be like Smash Mouth.
I guess like a light something.
Something you would play at my funeral, but I want something a little more upbeat than like your typical sad funeral
An
music.
upbeat funeral.
Upbeat
a happy,
funeral.
a fun. The funeral of your enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Iran.
ouch. I was about to play something that would have been totally inappropriate.
He's smashing plates while he's playing that.
All right, so let's see. Just go with some.
And we are live with the
Perfect.
winner, the first American-born winner of the International Beethoven Competition. Welcome back to the pod, D.
It's great to be back. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, of course.
being
And
here.
congratulations, dude, by the way.
Thank you.
Big
Thank you so much.
congratulations, man. That's a big deal.
We were all chanting USA when you won. We're like, USA, USA.
Yeah, we got really into it, man.
It was beautiful,
Face paint
bro.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. The first thing is that I noticed when watching it, you were the only one that looked normal at all while playing. You were looking up at the conductor, and you were smiling at him. You looked very human. The first one looked just overwhelmed.
Really?
Completely overwhelmed. I didn't see the third one. How did he look?
Constipated.
Constipated is what
Dude,
I
for
heard.
real. Yes.
Yeah. Mousy. A little like...
Me and Jen kept making a bunch of jokes about how he's like Peter Pettigrew?
Peter
from,
Pettigrew, yeah.
Yeah, from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But like when he turned from mouse to human.
Yeah. Like he finished playing and he turned back into a mouse and scurries off stage.
And I don't know what was happening. He kept playing one-handed and he kept going like this.
Yeah, he was
That's
fondling
tough.
something.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing.
Is it hard not to do that when you're feeling the music? Is it hard not to like look up
I go
into
straight
the air
into
and-
fondling every time. It's interesting. The people who aren't used to watching classical performance get really weirded out by the facial expressions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I make a couple, but I don't think
Yours
it's
are- yours are
crazy.
Yeah, but not really
You
though.
smile.
Like,
Yeah,
you look up
that's
and
good.
smile.
That's good.
It's-
That's
it
good.
looks
Depends
so
on the
natural.
piece, right? But yeah. But people like I think can't tap into like why you'd need to do that if everything's happening technically like sound wise happening in your fingers. Like how does that impact your? It's just a tool. Like if you are frowning, like you feel that emotion, and so it comes out in your music. You know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
But I get why people think it's weird, and I have to defend it sometimes. And I'm
Sure.
like, yeah, it's kind of fucking weird. But
yeah.
It just looks weird when you don't know what's happening.
yes.
Well, everyone's got their own style, I suppose. But
Watch
yeah,
John
it was
Mayer play the guitar. He looks like he's going through first off, he looks like he's getting head sometimes.
a little bit.
And then also he looks like he's just going through some deep, convoluted emotional battle when he plays a solo.
Yeah, like he took ayahuasca or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or he's having a brain aneurysm.
You see it across every. I mean, even watching the orchestra,
Yep.
the string players, and then also you had the
you can see it in the poster and like look at that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's pretty tame too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I would say for growing up watching a lot of piano recitals, being your brother, I saw the whole spectrum of it, and yours are good. Like you're just dipping your toes in the water of like the facial expression stuff,
Yeah,
but it's good.
You
though.
made
It's
it look
not
way
over
more
the top or
natural.
weird. Yeah,
for sure.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you guys let me know though. I mean, I'm gonna hear about it on the podcast when it's like, yeah, I watched one of his recent performances.
For
It's
sure.
over the line.
You will know.
Yeah.
It shows how little we know about the entire process because we're like, your face expressions, man. That's the thing.
Well, does that play a role into like when they judge you for your performance at all?
Yeah.
Like you obviously can't play with one hand and jack off with the other, and as a part of the performance.
Jacking while playing.
Yeah.
So the jurors, they are trained to just focus on the music.
Yep.
But I mean, it's like human nature. Like if you see
Yeah.
someone and you think they look really weird when they play,
Yeah.
it's hard to get that out of your brain.
Yeah.
Right. I think a better way of putting it is that like all those judges, they have so much experience hearing people who play really well who might look funny, and so it doesn't bother them anymore.
Yep.
Yeah. Rather than they're like, oh, I can't actually let that.
You
impact
told
my-
me something about a study that was done on just watching performers and then a blind just listening to performers.
Yes. Yep. So I can't quote which study it was, but it's something that like my peers and I talk about a lot, which is that yes, there was a study done where they asked both people really educated in classical music and also people who had no idea about classical music to watch and not listen, but just watch a performance of a bunch of competitors, and they had to guess the winner. And without both the the highly educated and the novices,
Yep.
both were able to predict with relative like high percentage the winner just by watching and not
Yep.
listening. And then they did the opposite for both groups. They only played the audio, and in both the educated and the novices, it was like all over the place. They could not guess the winner.
Ah.
So
That's insane.
yeah, it whether there's a lot of truth in that or not, it's definitely like it makes sense. You can't turn off your other senses. So
Yep.
Yeah.
And vision
so
is
how
just by
somebody-
far the strongest sense we have.
Yeah.
yeah, and sometimes when we talk, like we pianists talk about like great pianists that we admire, like we use visual terms more than anything. Like we're just like, dude, look at that. He's just like freaking owning the instrument. That's awesome. It's a part of the performance, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a reason why people go to see people play and not just listen to CDs. Like the recordings could have totally wiped out classical music culture, but it didn't, right? People still go to concerts and hear the pieces that they've heard on CD because the performative element is there.
Yeah.
So it's a nice thought, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's much more immersive watching it live. You know, even watching it on a screen and then compared to watching it live
Yep,
is
that's right.
a big difference. And watching the hands too, because that to me is an out of body experience. Watching your hands play, even all these people, these competitors.
Yeah. People ask me like if I'm thinking about each note that I play, and obviously there's no time to think about all that. But
No, it's like asking if you're thinking about each letter that you're speaking in a
Exactly. Yeah,
sentence.
exactly.
Hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what normally goes through your head as you're playing, especially like when you were in Vienna?
Yeah, in a good performance, it's just like enjoying myself, right? I'm not thinking about what other people think. I've had that experience too, where that's all I'm thinking about, like what the judges are thinking. Like, oh, I kind of fucked that up.
Yeah.
That they're thinking about, and then you're thinking about that like 10 minutes later, and your muscles are going on autopilot, like you're not doing anything special.
Yeah.
Just-
Do
I
you
call
find
it-
when you're focusing on that aspect of it, like, oh, I'm fucking up in front of the judges, do you find that you do more poorly based on like having those thoughts versus
Yeah,
just fucking
totally.
playing?
Yeah, because you can tell, like a good musician can tell when another musician is in what I call in survival mode.
Yeah.
Meaning they're just like, they're just moving their fingers to get to the end because they're having a panic attack. you know?
Yep.
Like I've seen people that's happened to, and I've also been there. It's like you're not necessarily missing notes. It's just like it's flat. There's
Yeah.
nothing going on.
They're not in the flow.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I felt like I was in the flow in Vienna in the final round that you guys watched because I was like,
You looked like you were in the flow,
I was
bro.
enjoying like playing with the conductor, which I didn't in the rehearsals at all. I was just focused on what I was doing, and I was like, yeah, there's an orchestra there. But in this case, like I was making eye contact with the conductor, like we were smiling at each other.
Yep.
It was a nice moment, actually.
Yep.
It's a very nice moment.
Yeah,
to
Ryan
watch.
pointed out at one point in the performance, he like smirked a little bit, and he's like, dude, yeah, he just realized he fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
Just made me laugh my ass off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the experience of flying to Vienna, seeing where Beethoven performed, what was going through your head? Were you nervous performing in front of everybody for this thing that you've been dreaming about? Were you just so happy to be there and so confident in your skill that that's how you got into the flow state of just enjoyment?
Yeah.
What was
Great
going
question.
through your head?
Actually, somewhere in between those two things. I was super excited to be in Vienna and play Beethoven, but like I've done so many competitions that now it's like it's kind of I have it down to a science. I don't get too worked up, like in a good way or a bad way. Yeah. I just kind of am in the zone. So I in the first two rounds, I was really forgetting to like enjoy being in Vienna, and So, because I was just focused on like being in the zone. And then when I made the finals, I was like, I'm leaving in 2 days. I have this opportunity to play here, so I'm going to enjoy it as much as I can.
Sure.
So, but yeah, I've done this so many times. Not always in Vienna, but that's so it does. I don't get super nervous, but I don't know what to say. It was pretty freaking awesome to be in that hall playing like Beethoven where it was written. You know,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. So.
Yeah.
I'm sure it felt fucking surreal.
Yes, yeah. And
That
I tried to
huge
remember when I
hall.
was there. Like I got to remember this feeling right now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
when I went out for my second bow afterwards, like because at that like it's all out there. I'm done. I did what I needed to do. And it's like, so I can just focus on enjoying this. Because you can't, if you focus on enjoying it before you play, like, you got to be in the zone. So.
Yeah. And then you play, knock it out of the park. Then, so I tuned back in my car, and it was you and a few other people, I think some past winners or something, sitting on chairs.
It was the jury.
It was
It was the jury.
Yep.
Okay. But then one of them won it, or
Won it years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had two former
one of the
winners.
women, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so these judges, they just heard 3 performances. Are they judging you on timing? Like, I feel like everybody has their timing so down. So are they judging you on? Because they're not judging you on appearance, like we've talked about, as much as they can.
Yeah.
So what are they really grading everybody on when everybody sounds like, to my ears, just perfect? Like everybody played it perfectly.
Yeah. I mean, getting the right notes at the right time is like just the beginning. So
Right.
like, and theoretically, everyone in the final round of a competition is doing that, right? Is playing most of the notes, mostly at the right time. So, so then it just becomes about your interpretation of the piece, right? When you hear a piece like that as many times as people who love Beethoven have heard it, the little timing things, or the little change in sound, or like doing, crescendoing instead of, staying the same, or just pointing out how you think the piece is built and how the piece is best expressed. Those things, like, you notice them when you know the piece and you hear something new. So with a composer like Beethoven, it's about balancing like the weight of performance tradition. Like, you can't do something totally crazy because there's thousands of recordings. that
Which
will
you kind of
disagree.
did.
Yeah,
You
right.
did do something kind of crazy.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
When Ryan told me, dude, I was like, I don't know
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
continue.
So you have to balance the weight of tradition.
Did you take a blue chew before you performed? What happened?
To hit that extra note.
Yes. Yeah.
He was hard the whole time.
So yeah, just your interpretation of.
Yes. Yep. Those things like are what tell you like how the performer feels about the piece, like what's
Yeah.
special about it, and
If they get
Slight-
it.
yeah,
If they
yep.
get what's going on.
and
Yeah.
it's subtle. It's really subtle, and sometimes it's so subtle that you can't even point to. Like, I, as a pianist, sometimes listen to recordings. And I'm like, I don't know what they're doing,
Yeah.
but it sounds way better than when I do it, and I can't
Sure.
figure out what it is.
Yeah.
It's the magic of music, dude.
They have like the right idea in mind.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a magic of music. That's all it is. Like a great delivery in a comedy bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? You can't really explain why it's great. It just
When
in
you
the
tell it
pocket.
to your friends, it's
Yeah.
1/90th of
Yeah,
what that
exactly,
performer
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, and you're saying the same words, exactly, yeah.
Yep.
Same notes in the concerto.
Yeah.
Just the delivery.
Yeah.
right? So,
Wow. That's a good way to put
but
it.
going to the cadenza, I mean, you guys probably heard this already from Ryan, but that's the one place in a performance of a concerto specifically where the performer has a real agency with what like actual notes they're playing. Historically, it was a chance the orchestra gives a big chord right before the final cadence, like the movement ends. The performer does a little flourish. That's basically how a cadenza started. It's just a way to showcase the performer.
Yeah.
Became a tradition, became a convention. Mozart started writing longer cadenzas, like where the performer like brings back themes from the concerto. As like it's like everyone's suspended while the performer does their thing, and then we end, right? So Mozart was kind of tongue in cheek, like let's really play this up.
Yeah.
So this became a thing. Like all concerti that are written since then, like have these cadenzas for the performer to show off. Traditionally, the performer would improvise them. Mozart was really good at that. So was Beethoven. But Beethoven actually wrote out the notes that he wanted the performer to play in the cadenza.
Sounds like Beethoven.
Yep. So Beethoven, yes, wanting more control,
Yeah.
right? He doesn't want some shit performer
Nope,
ruining his
nope.
fucking piece.
This is what it's going to sound like. Yeah.
So Beethoven actually wrote out two cadenzas. Like, you could play this one or that one.
Okay.
Right? Like, roll the dice. But I decided that I wanted to, like, not just do what Beethoven said, but, like, participate in the tradition that he was in. right?
Yeah.
Which means going back to the roots, like performer writing their own cadenza for the piece.
Yeah.
It's risky because Beethoven is revered, and we were in Vienna,
Yep.
where there's like the biggest Beethoven purists are there. Like
Yeah.
they knew how Beethoven, everything.
And they
So-
know those cadenzas.
Yes.
Every little piece of it.
Yes, absolutely. So,
So-
when I played the first note, I knew I was doing something like crazy. And it's funny because people that I talked to in the audience, they said like heads were turning, people were whispering.
You're like, who's
which is
that?
cool.
Who
What
wrote
is that?
Who
Who-
wrote that cadenza?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's cool because it's not often that like this piece was written in over 200 years ago, and you can like if you have as a performer have the opportunity to inject a surprise into this piece that has been played so many times, why would you not try and do that, right? So that's
Because
what
it's
it
a
was.
bunch of purists
Yes. Yeah. So
who
but-
like want to hear it
but-
exactly.
so there's two different types of purity. There's like purity of what's on the page.
Yeah.
But there's also purity of spirit.
of the spirit.
Right?
Oh my god.
And that's what I wanted to do.
Yes,
so,
there is.
And it worked. I think people liked it. The jury liked it. And if
It
they
definitely
didn't,
worked.
They didn't have enough to disagree with to talk to me about it. Because if they would have,
Yeah.
I swear.
if you would have done any kind of, if it was lower quality in any way, I mean, it would have,
Perhaps, yeah.
it would have been insane.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I just think the audience ultimately understood what you were doing too.
What's that?
I think the audience ultimately understood what you were doing.
Oh yes,
too.
yeah. I mean, it's a really highly educated audience
Yeah.
in classical music. So
Sure.
yeah, and there were a lot of students there who like have studied this concerto and they hear something different. Yep.
So my mom was saying after Derek's performance, she kind of went out into the hallway, and word kind of got out that she was Derek's mom, and the word kind of spread. And so people came up to her, and they instantly, one after the other, who wrote the cadenza? Who wrote the cadenza? And she said, oh, he wrote it. And then she just saw the rippling effect of, oh, he wrote the cadenza. He wrote the cadenza. He wrote the cadenza. And it just kind of spattered through the audience, and they were like, because they know, like I said, they've known this piece. It's been around for 200 years.
Yeah.
And they just got a surprise while listening to it.
Yeah.
And the only thing with that though is that there was one guy who's like, "Did you improvise that cadenza?" And I had to be like, "No." And I was like, "Dude, you fucking ruined my moment. Like, wasn't it cool enough that I wrote it?" But no.
Was that just off the dome?
Yeah, seriously.
Is
I
that
was like,
C major?
"Screw you,
I was
dude."
just spitting, dude.
So,
But you wrote it 7 years ago, right?
I did. Yep, I wrote it when I first learned the piece. Got a chance to play it in a really small opportunity just at Northwestern.
Yeah.
And by the time, I mean, I had always gone back to it and be like, yeah, if I ever got the chance to play this piece with orchestra again, definitely would love to play that cadenza again. It's good. I like it. I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
So the fact that it happened there, super cool.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Super cool.
So, you say that you have to understand the spirit of Beethoven to write a cadenza that will fit with the song properly. So, what's the name of the piece?
Oh, the piece I played is the fourth piano concerto.
The fourth piano concerto. So, what strikes you as Beethoven's idea of the song? What is I don't know if you can say the message, but what's the landscape of the song?
Yeah. I've told Ryan, I think before I actually played the piece, what I think of it, but I think it's the most pure, like the most wholesomely pure and transcendent, in a positive way, piece that Beethoven ever wrote. Beethoven's super known for stormy, super dramatic, cinematic, like these struggle pieces, but there's so little hint of struggle in this particular concerto. It's just like, it's a kind of piece you smile through when you play it because it's just so delightful.
Yeah.
And it's profound in how delightful it is.
Yeah.
So that's the message. The interesting thing about my cadenza is that I referenced in the cadenza, I quoted another piece by Beethoven that is the epitome of struggle.
Oh, yes.
And the reason for that is because they were written at the same time.
Okay.
And so, like, I guess a way to think about it is I'm honoring Beethoven's range
Yeah.
because, like, he can compose both of those things at the same time. And yet I think, like, they go together, like the light and the dark.
Sure.
And I think it brings more depth to both pieces to, like, think about a relationship between them.
Yep.
So that's part of what I was getting into in my cadenza. Also, the two melodies that I, like the concerto melody and the melody from the piano sonata, they go together so well. So it was like also logically
Sure.
and musically just worked really well. In addition to like whatever other philosophical statement I was trying to make.
Yeah. And that's the purest spirit of Beethoven is to do it like that. That's
Yeah.
beautiful, man.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Any other questions about freaking Vienna, Beethoven?
Do you
Get it
feel
out-
like was there something different about being in Vienna that just locked you in, put you in the zone? Did it feel like a bigger moment? Did you feel some sort of spiritual element, whether it was actually there or a placebo or something that took place inside of you, like the 8-year-old kid in you that was telling you, hey, man, this is a big deal. This is what we've always wanted. Do you feel some sort of presence while being there playing that music?
I don't know if I felt a presence, but I definitely felt all the things you just said. Definitely felt like this is something I'd wanted to do for so long, and all that stuff. Instead of like a kind of a, I don't know, extra, like a divine presence, I mainly just felt like I felt my own study of this music. It just all felt, I felt like I knew what I was doing, and in a way that I don't always feel when I perform. So, and it was really just super neat to do it in Vienna. It's probably the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
Just felt like, felt very lucky to play music that I feel strongly about. Mm-hmm. When you're a musician, you don't always do that. You don't always play music that you feel 100% strong about.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
it was cool.
Yeah. And in that cadenza, you're like explaining your theory of Beethoven, and yeah.
What about the piano?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What is the journey of this piano?
So yeah, Bosendorfer is big competitor to Steinway, which you probably do know. You probably know the brand Steinway because they have factories like on different continents, and they put out tens of thousands of pianos a year.
Okay.
Those are the pianos that you most commonly find in like concert halls and universities because they're really good. Bosendorfer, by contrast, has one single factory in Vienna that has hardly changed since 1828 when they started, and they make 300 pianos a year. Wow. So they brand themselves as like luxury pianos, like handmade. While Steinway is like
Factory
but the big
produced,
brand, yeah. It's like go into the hole in the wall instead of big chain that's
Chili's,
highly regarded. Yeah,
Yeah, and the artisans.
yep. So it's a different type of piano. It's also why it's so expensive. It's handmade, right? So a similar sized Steinway would cost like $95,000 maybe.
Okay.
So
Okay.
about half, right?
Yeah.
And this is, to correct what we said on our previous episode, this is a $190,000 piano.
Yep. So-
that is trapped
Yeah.
in another
Yeah, I know.
on another continent.
That's right. Yep.
For the just
Because of
foreseeable
tariff purposes? Correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, they told me there's all these rules. Like, I can't resell it. I have to pay for shipping and any other costs like related, which are all fair.
I mean, sort of.
No American has ever won it. They never had to do this. They never had to.
They should cover it.
Cough it up, bitch. Like,
Yes. So they were probably just like hoping, like, God damn it, the American won. That's shitty.
Yeah.
So basically, they were figuring out if I even need to pay a tariff on it. If it's a prize, I think I do because it's an imported good.
Oh.
Even if
Okay.
you don't have to pay a tariff, I'm sure it's still very expensive to ship it.
Shipping is I'm prepared for like $5,000 to $10,000 for that.
okay.
Which is,
That's not.
okay.
more realistic than what we heard
Yeah,
before.
that's
What was it,
not
80,000
too-
before?
yeah.
No, to ship.
With the
To get it
tariff.
over here?
Oh, tariffs, not including tariffs. Shipping, just pure shipping costs are like 5 to 10.
That's
Okay.
not that bad.
Yeah, that's worth it for a piano like that. Like that's
But with
Yeah.
the tariff,
Yeah.
how much is it?
the tariff right now is 20%
That's insane.
on EU.
Okay.
On
So it'd be
EU
like
goods.
6 to 12,000 ish.
Wait, I thought
no,
it was
of 195,000. So it's 20%.
Of the price
20% of the
Yeah,
price of
dude.
the piano.
I thought it was the price of
Why?
shipping.
No,
the
no.
cost of the whole thing.
Yeah.
What?
Yes, yeah.
What?
So
Can
that's
you,
like
how much
30
is that?
Put a dent in it so it lowers the value of the piano
exactly.
or something?
Wow.
Which
Jeez.
sucks. So that's what we're trying to avoid. So there's a couple of options. Number one, could just keep it in Europe until tariff situation hopefully improves.
Which it likely will in
Yeah,
3 years.
exactly,
3.5
right.
years.
Or I can't. Oh, the other thing is they might be able to get me one that's already in the U.S. In
Okay.
which case I probably wouldn't be able to pick it out like they offered me to get to do in Vienna.
Yeah.
They said, come to our factory and you can pick out the piano.
Yeah.
To have that experience would have been awesome, but
Yeah.
but definitely worth it if I could just get one that's already here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to pay the tariff. So
And you'd keep it
yeah,
because you can't sell it.
yeah, right.
But you
just
think
just
ab-
like babies.
Just like babies.
Yeah, I'll keep it. Can't sell it.
Yeah, sure. Because I know a guy in Russia
Can I
that
flip
could.
this baby?
Can't resell it for 5 years.
I know a guy in Russia that you could sell it to, but with the baby thing,
Baby-
yeah,
yeah.
you don't
So
want
if you
that
had a baby
in Russia.
in Russia, you'd probably have to pay a tariff on getting the baby back.
You would.
Ship-
yeah, you
the
would.
shipping costs on
20%
that
of the
baby.
cost of the
He's
baby.
dropping
Yeah.
the piano off at the fire station. They said I
take
couldn't
care
get
of
rid of this.
Instead of crying, it's like playing like a sad song and stuff. It's just
a little dirge.
Oh shit.
That's hilarious. Wow, man. Well, great stuff, dude. We should hear some Beethoven though.
I would love to hear a cadenza.
yeah, I could play a little. I could show you guys what I mean with the themes fitting together.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely, dude.
can't, unfortunately, do it justice on this.
Can I
Keyboard,
listen
but-
on your headphones with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, you.
Just put them on, bro.
So I'm first going to start with a piece, well, like a theme that you guys definitely know by Beethoven, and it's this one. Name that tune.
The dun 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 dun.
Yeah, that's what it's called actually.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
no.
Dun dun. Yeah.
It's Beethoven's Fifth Symphony,
Yep.
which I'm going to send you. By the way, you got to listen to it.
Yep, Beethoven's fifth, very very famous piece, as you know.
Okay.
This became kind of legendary in Beethoven's output. The short, long became known as his like fate motive. Sounds
Okay.
like fate, right? And with Beethoven going deaf and having this huge struggle in his own life,
Yeah.
it kind of fits. Like it feels like there's the music and the biography are kind of combined.
Sure.
That's just a kind of a legendary thing. So the Appassionata Sonata, which I quote, very stormy piece, has this over and over again, which is like an even more demonic version of the fate motive, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So again, 3 shorts and 1 long. The fourth concerto, what I described as the most purely innocent and wholesome piece that he wrote, starts with a long note, and then it's the short, long thing. So these motives could not be more different in tone, but structurally,
Yep.
they could not
Yep.
be more similar, right? So I mess around with that by quoting both of them. So in the cadenza, I have this fate motive from the sonata going down first, and then later on it goes up to signal to match the tone of the concerto. So instead of that, it's this. Right, so you can hear the relationship there.
Yeah.
All right, and then there's other themes from the concerto that are very similar to the sonata. So here's a theme from the concerto. All right, here's a theme from the sonata, which I was playing at the beginning of the episode. So in my cadenza, I had both of those themes talk to each other. Sounds like this. You guys hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the different sides of Beethoven having a conversation. So the cadenza, I didn't write it for glory or like to show that I could write music. It truly was like, I love Beethoven and here's what I think of Beethoven.
Sure.
And tried to match the spirit of Beethoven in it. So
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's awesome.
thanks, guys.
Beautiful
Appreciate
stuff.
it. Thanks for taking an interest. It's a very, very niche world of classical piano.
Should be more appreciated.
It's okay. Not, someone like sometimes the quote that someone said, which is art, if it's for everyone, then it's not art. And if it's art, it's not for everyone.
That's a good
And
quote.
so that's okay, right?
Yeah.
We're good with it. People, I don't think we need to vouch for classical music being more like living on. I think it will live on. There's a lot of people who are very invested in it. And it's there for you when you want it. We don't need to, force it on people.
Right.
It's not for everyone. That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful, man.
Beautiful
Thank
stuff.
you so much.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
You want to do like a for Elise outro or something?
Sure.
And that's a wrap.
Beautiful.
Inside.
For clothes that Tristan lost. At Bold 3 detergent plus fabric softener.
This might be his last episode. I felt that shit in my soul. All right, take it away, Mr. Hartman. And that's a wrap.